So I have opened this workbook here. It is named as the main workbook. You can find the link to this workbook in the description of this video or in the resources section. This workbook has several sheets into it through which we would understand different functionalities of Excel. You can jump onto any sheet just by clicking on the links given in the navigation sheet. So here I will click on references and this would take me to the references sheet. And here what we are going to cover now is the three different types of references in Excel. There is a relative reference in Excel, then there is an absolute reference, and then there is a mixed reference. The mixed reference is kind of like a mixture of the relative reference and the absolute reference, and that will make more sense when we get to it. So we are going to explore these three different types of references, and once you know how to use them, you will be able to integrate them into writing and using formulas and functions, and of course some other areas as well. Now just to let you know, there will be a little bit of formula writing in this tutorial and in the follow-up exercise, but this should serve as a good start in this particular area. Okay, so this is the scenario. So we have these three tables here, one for units sold, one for units price, and one for gross revenue. So what I need to do is just write out some simple formulas in each of these three columns here to work out what the gross revenue is for each mode of transport for each month of the year. So let's go ahead and write down the first formula. So when it comes to writing formulas in Excel, it always begins with the equal sign. So that would go in now. And as you already know, you can always see your formula up here in the formula bar. Here, you can see the equal sign which I typed in just right now. And what I want to do is just get the first cell reference here. For the units sold for car in month 1, then my multiplication operator would go in. And then I will go get the unit price for the cars, which is here. And now our formula is ready to go. So I will just press enter. And here is our gross revenue. Now if I really want to, I could go through each of these cells here and write out formulas for each of the cells on an individual basis. But I can tell you there is a far more easy way of taking care of this by using autofill. So I'm going to select this cell and come to the bottom right here until I get this black drag handle cross, and I'll click, hold and drag and pull down my column. And as you can see, we have all of these answers that have shown up. As I can see, there are quite a few zeros in the data, and I think that quite possibly something has gone wrong. So let's find out what the problem is. So I'm going to double click on one of these here to reveal the formula. So I can see that the blue cell referencing is moving down this column here, which is exactly what I wanted to do. The problem really lies with the red cell referencing. Preferably, I wanted it to stay in this cell here. So how can we remedy this? Well, we can use a absolute reference. So what I will do is I will just select this data here and press delete and start the formula once again. So I will select this cell and press equals to. Then I will get the month 1 of sales for cars. Then multiply that by unit price of cars. Then use my multiplication operator and multiply it by unit price of cars. And with my mouse cursor, I am going to come in between H and 16. And what I'm going to do is I will put a dollar sign here. And then before the letter H, I am also going to put a dollar sign in there. And basically this has turned the red cell reference into an absolute reference. So let's see what happens now when I press enter. Well, first of all, my answer shows up and that looks good. And once again, I will use autofill to fill up my table. And I can see that my answers are looking more realistic now. But let's just double check on one of them just to make sure that the referencing is correct. So I will double click on this one. So here I can see that my relative referencing, which is the blue colored referencing, is working exactly the way I wanted it to work. And also the red reference for unit price here is staying exactly where I wanted it to stay. So everything looks pretty good at the moment. So let's move on to motorcycles and repeat that process. I will put in my equal sign. I will get the first month of sales here. And this time, instead of using my mouse cursor, I'm going to press F4 on my keyboard once. Now, if you are a Windows laptop user, you might also have to press Fn plus F4 to do this. And if you are a Mac user, you can use Command plus T to perform this function. Now, if I were to press F4 again, you can see the dollar sign starts to move around in between the rows and the columns as I press it again. And then finally it goes back to normal reference, which is a relative reference. And I will press F4 again, and you can see that it has gone back to absolute. So here, just by using the F4 key, I'm able to turn my reference into an absolute reference. So here I can press enter now, and now I can just click click the cell and click, hold and drag and pull down the column. And I will double click on the last answer here just to make sure the referencing is correct. And it looks like it is. So now we can move on to bicycles. So let's do this one last time. I will press equals. I will go get the first month of sales, and then I will multiply it by the unit price of bicycles. Now the thing is, with using an absolute reference for this particular table, I mean the absolute reference is perfectly good. It works perfectly well. But in all honesty, here all I need to use is just a mixed reference. Here, so what I will do is I will just press F4 twice until I get the dollar sign before the number 18. And basically this means that my red cell reference would not move up and down, but it can still move left and right. But because I am not moving left and right, I don't have to stop it from going left and right. I just have to stop it from going up and down. So that's why I have to just lock the rows in place and not the columns. So here I have logged in the row 18, and I will just press enter, and I will select the cell again and come to the bottom right hand side of the cell, and instead of click, holding and dragging, I'm going to double click, and that would send the rows down the column. Okay, so let's just take a look at the last answer here by revealing the formula using double click, and I can see that all of the referencing is correct. Okay, so we are not just going to leave it here. We are going to move on to the next part of this video, where I will show you how you can fill in a whole table like this in two simple moves. So to do that, we have to transpose our tables. Basically what it means is we are going to change our rows into columns and our columns into rows. And if you don't understand what that means at the moment, don't worry, it would make more sense when you see it.